What's up, badass Blackdesertmobile fans? It's Legit back with another video, and today I'm going to be covering the missing skills for all of the Awakened classes. Now, I do want to note that all classes are actually missing a skill, including the Ascended version of all classes. However, this video I'm only going to cover the Awakened version because that's the class that everybody's been talking about, the missing skill for those. I will make a separate video that covers all of the missing skills. Everybody's been chatting like, hey, I'm missing the skill, the 11th skill, it's my best skill, yada, yada, yada. I am going to cover all those. We're going to see what kind of goodies they do give. Most of them are PvP-oriented skills. I did look. Nothing else is missing from any skill. I looked at every single skill in depth. Nothing's missing aside from the 11th skill. Before we get into the material, however, I want to give a shout out to Smithy. He's a PvP monster. He has tons of good PvP content on these Awakened classes with the skills. Make sure you go over to his channel, check him out, and hit that subscribe button. Also, if you're new to my channel, you are missing out. Make sure you check out the description down below for additional badass Blackdesertmobile content. You won't be disappointed. And with that being said, let's dive right in. The first class we have is the Lancer. The skill that she's missing comes with one charge, 9-second cooldown time, 639% damage times 3, which is hefty. You get super armor, but not in the arenas, and it applies a knockdown. This skill is definitely PvP oriented. Let's check it out here in action. The range on this thing is ridiculous. Let me try to get a good range here for you. It has a decent radius on its skill. It has a very solid range, and it applies a knockdown. So this is a very important skill. The Lancers are missing this skill in their lineup. Unfortunately, all classes are missing that one skill. This is the one for them. It also does a ton of damage. I mean, I believe it's like 1920% damage off the top of my head, and a knockdown, so you can close that gap. That is a pretty solid skill. Up next, we have the Berserker. The Berserker is missing a skill that does one charge on an 8-second cooldown time. Does 400% damage. He does have super armor even in the arenas, and it applies a knockdown. It does hit up to 9 targets, so it does 400% times 9 technically, which is 3600% total damage, and it regenerates 5 rage. This is definitely a PvP-oriented skill. It's a huge gap closer. He goes so far with that skill. Anything in his path that he hits, he knocks down. It's just a very, very important skill, especially for a class like this, which relies on closing those gaps and staying close to the target. So they're obviously missing that. It's a very important skill, unfortunately. That is for the Berserker class, as you can see. I do like it a lot. Unfortunately, they don't have it. Hopefully, I don't know when these classes skills are coming, if they're coming. I'm assuming they're going to come at some point. I don't have a time frame, though. Up next, we have the Destroyer. His skill is one charge on a 7-second cooldown time, does 910% damage times 2, so 1800% damage. You get super armor even in the arenas, and it applies a knockdown. So heavy hitting damage, decent cooldown time for that skill. It does have cooldown time reduction right there at 2 seconds, taking it to a 5-second cooldown time. Let's check this bad boy out in action. I do like him. It does look like it shoots pretty quick. Not sure on the radius or the range of it. The range is pretty decent. It's like mid-range. Heavy hitting damaging skill. Offers that knockdown. Definitely PvP oriented. You could get away with using this one in PvE. Some of the other ones, I would definitely not use them for PvE. I do like this one though. I do like Destroyer all around. He didn't get any other buffs or nerfs. I saw some people saying he lost super armors, but I went through all of his skills and he did not lose any super armors. He just lost this one skill, which is obviously very important, but if none of the classes got their 11th skill, which is PvP oriented, then it's more fair along the boards. If one class got it, then obviously that'd be a problem. Up next, we have the Phantasma, aka Darkness. Now, on their website, it still says Darkness, but in the game, it says Phantasma. The skill comes with one charge, 10-second cooldown time, 1715%, 50% damage. It also applies a knockdown. It also applies a bleed. It does have a cooldown time reduction, taking it to 7-second cooldown time. It is a pretty skill. It's definitely PvP oriented as well. You could get away with using this one for PvE as well. Let's check it out. So right here, it does have medium range. It does hit all the targets in front of her. It does knock them down, so that's why it's definitely more focused towards PvP. Does have a longer cooldown time at the moment until it's leveled up. It's still 7 seconds once it's leveled up, so it's not as good as, you know, the Destroyer, which was just 5 seconds. So some of these classes are going to be more affected by missing these 11 skills than other classes. I don't have exactly, you know, which one it is. I'm just giving you guys a demonstration here now of the Phantasma, aka Darkness. I feel like this one that she's missing isn't as huge of a deal as some of the other classes. Like that Berserker one is huge. Just such a big range on that skill. Closes the gap. This one is decent. Does have a decent damage output, but compared to some other skills, she's not missing a whole lot. Up next, it looks like we have the Windwalker. This is a 100% PvP skill that she's missing. I would definitely not use it for PvE at all. One charge, a 15-second cooldown time. Does 350% damage. It does hit twice, so 700% damage. You get super armor while using the skill, and it applies a bound. 2-second cooldown time reduction, or 3-second, taking it to 12-second cooldown time. She grabs the target. So there's two different ways to use this skill. If you just tap it once, she just slices the targets in front of her. If you hold the skill button in, she actually grabs the target, like jumps on their chest and slams them to the ground. So let's check it out. Grab them, jumps on their chest, slams to the ground, and then goes backwards. That's the entire skill right there. It does do moderate damage, not a ton. It does knock them down and bound them. It is great for PvP because as soon as they're bound on the ground, then now you can combo them up with heavier hitting skills. So it's definitely going to be important for PvP, but this skill for PvE is completely useless. You wouldn't even want to use it for boss fights because you're not going to do that to the boss. I mean, you could, but the bosses don't get bound and they don't get stunned or dazed or knocked down. So I definitely would just stick with some of the other skills. That is the Windwalker's missing skills. Up next, we have the Invoker, also known as the Archmage. She did also get a new name change as well, just like the Darkness, aka Phantasma. This is a 100% PvP skill as well. One charge, 10-second cooldown time. Does 595% damage. You get invincibility while using the skill, and it stuns targets on hit. You get 5% crit as well, plus 20 AP, and 2-second cooldown time reduction. This skill is going to be great for either closing the gap to stun the target or trying to get away from targets if you're in danger situations. This is not advisable for PvE. I wouldn't use it at all. You could get away with this one for boss rushes to get away from the boss if you're trying to dodge mechanics. So you could get away with this one for PvE on boss rushes, but for grinding and farming, it's useless. For PvP, you definitely could get away with, or you definitely want to use this skill. It's a very important skill. I don't think it's as important as some of the other skills as far as the 11th skill and the strength of that skill. That is the Invokers. The last one up is my class, the Reaper. The skill that I lost was one charge on a 7-second cooldown time. It did 364% damage on 5 hits, so it did do a decent amount of damage. You did get super armor while using the skill, and it does inflict a bound. It does pull the target towards you closer. It does increase your AP as well. This skill is definitely 100% PvP oriented. I wouldn't use it for PvE. It's not very good for grinding or farming. It's a very slow cooldown time. You just grab targets and pull them towards you. You can definitely get away with not having the skill in the lineup. For PvP, it's great. You grab the target, you pull them towards you, you bound them, and then you can knock them down with another skill and then hit them with some other combos. So I definitely like the skill. Unfortunately, those are the 11 skills that are missing for all the classes. Those are the ones I'm not sure when we're getting them. Like I said, hopefully we get them soon. They are definitely viable. They definitely will add a different twist again because we're going to swap out some skills for that skill. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Don't forget to tune in later. I will have all of the Ascended classes as well, missing skills in detail, so that way you guys can see what those are. I'm sure they're going to be PvP oriented as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. If you're a regular, make sure you hit the like and comment on the way out. And with that being said, I will see you next time.